After studying this module, you shall be able to 1. Learn the signaling and screening theory, 2. Analyze a basic model of signaling of Stiglitz, 3rd. Learn who all will invest in education. Signaling or screening theory. Education degree as a filtering device. The signaling screening theory treats education as a screening device, which is an alternative to the treatment of education as a human capital in the human capital theory. The signaling screening theory challenges the human capital theory's interpretation of the function of education. After around 10 to 15 years, emergence of human capital theory during late 1950s and early 1960s, the screening signaling theory explained that higher education works as a filter for the screening of the student as per the given signals of available job opportunities in national or international labor market. Akerlof, Arrow, Spence and Stiglitz propounded this theory. In other words, the screening models explained that education was the means of getting signals in the labor market and screening or sorting out of students for the labor market. These signaling and screening models were examined in the microeconomics framework. These models explained the interaction and information regarding the behavior of students in education and informed the employers about their potential in the labor market. These models also argued that the educational credentials of students did not adequately provide perfect information about the productivity and skills of the employees. Though there was a debate whether the ability of the prospective workers is sorted out at the entry level with the help of general level of education. The specific ability was not captured by the sorting out process, rather specialized abilities are developed at the time of the on-the-job training. Signaling screening theory, education degree as a filtering device. Signaling and screening models got popularized among the microeconomists, whereas human capital theory got more importance among the labor economists. The wage education regressions estimated the rate of return of education, which empirically tests the human capital theory. The human capital theory was related to the positive and high impact of education on the wages of workers in the labor market. It means it captures only the private rate of return through the wage increase, and the social rate of return is not captured in the regressions of the rate of return. In a number of important respects, the screening signaling theory does not fit the observed facts because age earnings profiles by level of education diverge rather than converge over time. Demonstrates that employers continue to pay educated workers more throughout their working lives when they have direct evidence about their productivity. Take an example of a firm interested in the expected quality of graduate applicants for jobs in the firm. Suppose there are two types of universities, one employing higher entrance criteria and the other setting lower entrance standards. If the employer adopts a simple rule based on either prejudice or experience, which equates higher entrance criteria with higher potential productivity of the graduate, then the situation shown in the figure would evolve. For employers to use higher education degrees to screen for high quality applicants, the standard 3-year degree needs to be coupled with high entrance qualifications. A lower entry barrier would need courses of longer duration. A degree followed by a master degree programs, for example, to convince employers that they produce high quality graduates. There is another example of screening signaling method of the contemporary education system and labor market in India. There was a news in an Indian newspaper that a student from the Faculty of Management Studies, that is FMS, of Delhi University bagged rupees 61 lakh per annum offer of job. All 205 passed out students from the FMS got jobs with an average salary of 16.8 lakh per annum, and the top 50% of them got job offers with an average salary of 19 lakhs per annum. Such instances of the salary packages in the labor market can be viewed and heard from the media and even friends, classmates, schoolmates and batchmates and family members or relatives. In these days, the placement companies are mediating, facilitating the work of hiring the students from the campuses for the companies. The educational fairs organized by the universities and different organizations like British Council, United States India Educational Foundation, that is USIEF, are also providing the information to the students and their parents about the courses and specialization of education. However, there is no perfect information on the demanded skills in the job market for the students and perfect screening of students for the labor market by educational institutions. In case of imperfect information in education sectors and labor markets, information economics has provided the microeconomic models on the asymmetric information of the quality of education for students, adverse selection in process of employing some graduates by employers and causing moral hazards from the shirked employees in their work or job profiles. These microeconomic models are elaborated in the process of screening and signaling in the education. With the help of above examples, the analysis of education as screening signaling device implies that employers' expectations are based upon identifiable differences in quality. An alternative view, credentialism, is where employment is rationed according to educational qualifications, which are required by employers but which are not necessary for the job. This is a form of discrimination with the employers having a definite taste for educated workers. The weakness of credentialism is that the economic rents or profits from those occupations that restrict entry must rely on more than education as a barrier. They need to invoke class, family background, accent, school history, etc. There is another point that credentialist practices are confined to uncompetitive, non-profit maximizing organizations such as the upper echelons of civil service. Another aspect of credentialism focuses on the fact that credential is more important than the years of education, schooling. If so, then there might be a wage premium over and above the return to education for completing a particular year of education, the final year of secondary or high school at 18 or the final year of college or university at 21. Remember, the dip in the rates of return between ages of 18 and 21, which was related to changes in the wages with the changes ages of worker, which was not noticed in the Mencerian equation. See the module number BSc P10 M5. The signaling model of Spence suggested that the firms faced with a hiring decision may pay more for better educated workers if education has no effect on the productivity. This is because information about potential productivity is imperfect. However, it should be the case that more able workers can obtain an educational signal, that is a qualification, more easily and cheaply than their less able counterparts. Yet, the screening signaling theory constructs a world within which the function of education is then merely to provide the qualification by the education establishments or institutions, and these education institutions will acquire a reputation among the workers and firms as good signalers. The example for Indian higher education system are Indian Institute of Technology, that is IIT, Indian Institute of Management, that is IIM, Indian Institutes of Science, that is IISc, or All India Institute of Medical Sciences, that is AIIMS, University of Delhi and Jawaharlal Nehru University, etc. It also raises doubts about the efficiency of educational investment being determined through the market. There is clearly a massive amount of over-investment in education if it does nothing to increase labor productivity in general. In denying any fundamental positive relationship education and actual productivity, the screening signaling theory is clearly at odds with the human capital theory. However, the screening signaling theory suffered from a critical inconsistency to generate expectations concerning productivity relative to the signal. Spence assumed that such past experience is relevant data for present and future decisions. For this to be so, other things such as the nature of the job must remain constant over time. This increases the certainty of historical fact, with conditional probabilities getting closer to 1. Indeed, in equilibrium, conditional expectations are self-confirming. Therefore, this equilibrium is defined as Pareto dominant, and then there is no incentive to move from it. In such cases, employers have certain predictions of an applicant's future productivity. The screening signaling model is not dealing with uncertainty at all. Employers possess all the knowledge they require to offer a wage schedule, which will tell workers all they need to know in order to provide the firm with the force it needs. Harman and Walker estimated the extent of signaling by comparing the education and earnings relationship of the self-employed with that of the employees. The idea behind the use of this analysis is that the self-employed have no need for education as a signaling device because they are aware of their own productivity. The results of their comparison using British Household Panel survey data shown in table 1 indicate a very minor role of signaling. Therefore, the screening signaling theory, whilst indicating that there are credentialist aspect to education, does not threaten to fundamentally undermine human capital theory. Table 1 shows returns to education in percentage of the employed and self-employed workers in the UK labour market. Let's look at men and women. Men employees as wage earners were 6.4, self-employed were 5.1, signaling 1.3. Women employees as wage earners were 10.3, self-employed 7.6 and signaling 2.6. As Freeman observed, screening signaling effects are undoubtedly part of the world, but no empirical study has found them to be major factor in the demand for education. There have been many attempts to understand how signaling works and the role of education in sorting workers between two groups, one with above average productivity and the other with lower than the average productivity. The model of signaling of Stiglitz, which is adapted from Chattopadhyay, is explained in the coming sections. A basic model of signaling of Stiglitz: let job applicants be characterized by a single feature, say theta, which is linked to individual productivity P. That is, P is equal to M into theta. There are just two categories of workers with theta 1 and theta 2. The workers with theta 1 will take theta 2 by theta 1 hours to complete a job that the workers with theta 2 will do in an hour. The units are so selected that M is equal to 1. The feature theta can be observed while selecting the prospective one and not P. The proportion of workers with the characteristic theta is within brackets theta. Let us assume that firms are not in position to select workers with regard to their productivities, and hence all the workers are identical for the firms. However, individual workers are aware of their own abilities. Since the abilities are not known to the firms, they are remunerated at the average of the group in which the workers are deployed in assigned jobs. The average value of theta corresponds to the average productivity in the assembly line of production. So, the individual workers with abilities higher than the mean value of theta are paid less, as they are not identified by employers and therefore are not paid in accordance with their productivities, in a tendency to be identified by some clear feature, that is education, albeit at a cost. Let us assume that theta 1 is greater than theta 2, as workers with theta 1 and theta 2 characteristics are classified as more and less productive respectively. Let there be a perfect screening device, say education, which comes at a cost C per individual. There are two conditions. Theta 1 minus theta 2 is greater than theta 1 minus theta bar. That is equation 1. Theta bar is equal to theta 1 h within bracket theta 1 plus theta 2 within bracket 1 minus h theta 1 bracket closed is equal to theta average. That is equation 2. The cost of acquiring education C is less than the increase in pay after being identified with higher productivity with the help of screening. The implication of such a condition will become clearer as we explain the attainment of equilibrium in the absence and presence of education. As we can see that the average wage depends on the proportion of workers in each of the two groups. If the supply of labor is inelastic, the first and second set of workers receives income theta 1 and theta 2 respectively. There can be two equilibria. One, the no screening equilibrium. In this case, there is no screening and therefore all the workers will receive the same amount, which is the average for the entire population of workers. The more productive or able workers would have a tendency to resort to simple quantification of costs and benefits at the margin as typical optimizing agents to decide whether acquiring education for the purpose of being screened is a right one. With screening at the expense of C, additional cost C greater than MB, that is marginal benefit, into theta 1 minus theta average, or the net gain theta 1 minus C is less than theta average, the pay in absence of screening as per equation 1. Therefore, it is not profitable for an individual to resort to screening. 2. The full screening equilibrium. In this situation, since screening as an option is available, the two groups will now behave differently. For type 1 individuals, the net income will be theta 1 minus C as they decide to educate themselves so that they are classified as able, whereas type 2 individuals will perforce settle with theta 2 income. As per the equation 1, theta 1 minus C is greater than theta 2. The type 1 individuals stand to gain with the screening, as otherwise they would be grouped together with group 2 and perforce settle for theta 2, which is less than their income. Based on this, Stiglitz made 4 propositions which bring to the fore the typical role that education plays in the extreme case where it merely sorts individuals rather than augmenting their productivities through development of cognitive capacity. The propositions are: 1. There may be multiple equilibria depending on the specific values. There could be many equilibrium points. 2. Some of the equilibria are Pareto inferior unambiguously. In the presence of screening, both categories of workers suffer income loss compared to a no screening equilibrium. Type 1 earns theta 1 minus C, which is less than the theta average in the absence of screening. Similarly, type 2 earns theta 2, which is less than theta average. Therefore, both are Pareto inferior unambiguously. 3. In both the cases, either in the case of no screening or in the case of full screening, the more productive ones, that is able, suffer an income loss in the presence of less productive. Type 1 suffers in both the equilibria due to the presence of type 2. In the absence of type 2, they would have earned theta 1. In no screening, they earn the average, which is lower than theta 1. And in the case of full screening, they pay C to end up with theta 1 minus C. But this is not true for type 2. They gain in case of no screening, as theta average is greater than theta 2, which is what they deserve. In full screening, they earn what they deserve, that is theta 2. 4th, social returns from private returns when education plays a narrow role of screening. Since there is a change in income distribution, gross social return is 0, whereas net returns are negative, as C is positive. Net national output is lower, as in the process there is no change in productivity and hence an output loss. As discussed, both groups, type 1 and type 2, incur a loss in the presence of screening. However, the private rate of return is positive for type 1 in a full screening equilibrium, as the marginal change in income over additional cost is greater than 1. That is, within bracket, theta 1 minus theta 2 divided by C bracket close minus 1 is greater than 0. Now, who will provide this information? Of course, able workers stand to gain from providing information for the purpose of screening. Therefore, it can be argued that least able will not be interested in screening. In the process, the able ones are able to capture the returns to general information about their skills themselves, and hence they will spend on education. Who all will invest in education? Stiglitz explained that who all will invest in screening or rather education. Of course, here the purpose of education is not about the consumption benefits. If some individuals are aware of their potential in self-employment opportunities, these individuals may not like to go for screening and incur a cost when the returns can be appropriated without investment in education. Some individuals are so certain about their abilities that they intend to prove their worth after being selected, possibly on the job, and so the individuals persuade the employer to give their worth for the job assigned. In such cases, the skill requirement at the entry point is rather low. Therefore, the individuals in the process absorb the risk associated with hiring and training cost. On the other hand, some individuals are risk averse and would like to be treated as average rather than taking the risk of being screened and labeled as below average. However, it all depends on the kind of job that one is looking for. Often, certain jobs require minimum qualifications. Individuals, in order to become eligible for being considered for the selection, climb onto the ladder of education. The screening theory is applicable in cases where jobs do not require specific skills. What the employers are looking for is trainability and adaptability of employees, as the skills are acquired through on-the-job training and learning by doing. Completion of a particular level of education acts as surrogate for employees' potential productivity, as the personality attributes become more important for raising productivity rather than any specific acquired in school or college or university. Let us summarize. After the emergence of human capital theory during early 1960s, the screening signaling theory emerged during 1970s, which examined that how the highly educated people screened by the employers or firms in the labor market. Further, the theory also explained that degrees or credentials of educated people provide the signals about the quality of education and how useful they are for the employers. The signaling screening theory has been a critique of human capital theory. There are also some limitations of the signaling screening theory. First is that it is very subjective to find the quality of knowledge through the education degrees, as the individual ability of the highly educated workers is multidimensional concept, as explained by Amartya Sen in the context of capabilities.